Help me reach 500 subscribers. She left the motel room in a hurry, still fixing her hair, still smiling at a phone screen that wasn't mine, convinced the world outside would remain exactly where she'd left it. The parking lot was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes your footsteps sound louder than they should. She pressed the key fob once. Nothing. She pressed it again, harder this time, as if force could correct reality. The space where her car had been was empty, clean, undeniable. For a moment she just stood there, confused but not afraid. Confusion was familiar to her. She was good at rearranging facts until they felt harmless. She walked the row again, eyes scanning, heart still calm, telling herself she must have parked somewhere else. When that lie collapsed, panic finally arrived, sharp and sudden, like a hand around her throat. She called me then. I didn't answer. What she didn't know was that I had been awake for hours. Not pacing. Not shouting. Just sitting, replaying the previous night in slow, merciless detail. The notification that came too late. The location that didn't match the story. The silence when there should have been noise. I hadn't followed her. I hadn't confronted her. I had simply confirmed what my instincts had been whispering for months. When I took the car, I didn't feel clever. I felt calm. Calm in a way I hadn't felt since before I started questioning my own sanity. I drove home slowly, obeying every traffic law, giving myself time to think. By the time I parked in our driveway, the plan wasn't revenge. It was clarity. She found a ride back somehow. I didn't ask how. By the time she pulled into the driveway in a stranger's car, the house was quiet. No lights on. No noise. The front door was unlocked. That detail unsettled her more than the missing car ever had. Inside, the house looked normal at first glance. Too normal. The couch pillows were in place. The photos still lined the hallway. The air smelled the same. She called my name once, softly, testing the space as if she expected me to answer and laugh and reset everything. I didn't respond. Then she noticed what was gone. Not furniture. Not electronics. Things that mattered only because they were chosen. My clothes from the closet. The watch she gave me years ago, placed neatly on the table. The spare keys. The folder from the drawer she never opened. She sat down slowly, like her legs had finally accepted the truth her mind was resisting. That folder was the first real crack in her composure. Inside were copies, not originals. Messages printed in black and white. Dates highlighted. Locations circled. Nothing dramatic. Nothing exaggerated. Just facts laid out without commentary. Her phone buzzed again. This time I answered. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I told her the car was safe. I told her she could keep it, eventually. I told her I knew. The silence on the other end was longer than any argument we'd ever had. When she finally spoke, her voice was small, unfamiliar, stripped of the confidence she wore so easily with other people. She said it wasn't what it looked like. I let that sentence hang between us until it collapsed under its own weight. I asked her if the printed messages were also lying. She didn't answer. I asked her if the motel receipt was a coincidence. Still nothing. I didn't need her confession. I already had it. What shocked her wasn't that I knew. It was that I wasn't bargaining. No questions about fixing things. No promises to change. No anger she could redirect or manipulate. I told her I'd moved what was mine. I told her the house would be quiet for a while. I told her she should read everything before we spoke again. She cried then. Real crying, not the controlled kind she used when she wanted sympathy. I listened not because I felt cruel but because I felt finished. When she asked where I was staying, I told her it didn't matter. When she asked if we could talk in person, I said we already had. After the call ended, she walked through the house again, slower this time, touching things like they might disappear too. She stood in front of the mirror and didn't recognize the woman looking back. At the motel, she had felt desired. At home, she felt exposed. That was the real shock. Not the missing car. Not the evidence. It was the realization that the version of me she thought she controlled had quietly stepped out of the story. She was alone in a house full of proof, facing consequences that didn't shout, didn't beg, and didn't explain themselves. Outside, the evening settled in, steady and indifferent. Somewhere across town, I sat in a room that wasn't mine, feeling something close to peace. Not because she was hurting, but because the confusion was finally over. For the first time in a long time, the silence made sense.